if you think about Alibaba and these directories, the way they make money is actually majority through supplier advertising. 90% of Alibaba.com's revenue comes from supplier membership and advertising fees. That's why if you search t-shirt on Alibaba, the first page, a lot of these vendors are not even manufacturers or trading companies, agents. And the question would be why would Alibaba put a sourcing agent and not a manufacturer on page one? Because this agent pays a lot of money. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to rank for that keyword. We have 1.4 million supplier profiles in our system. And this index is constantly growing. So we've indexed, I would say, most suppliers that have any import-export data our system would capture, right? Because basically we get customs data from over 80 different countries. So even if this supplier has no website, no publicly searchable information, in our system, we will still capture some amount of signal from the data sources that we collect. And then on top of it, obviously, because we're a search engine, we also collect data from Alibaba, from global sources, from Made in China, from these public directories. So we enrich our supplier profiles with, let's say that supplier does have an Alibaba page. We will kind of collect some information from that Alibaba profile. But I think what's more important is not just data collection. It's actually how do you do bias-free ranking and evaluation. So if you think about Alibaba and these directories, the way they make money is actually majority through supplier advertising. So 90% of Alibaba.com's revenue comes from supplier membership and advertising fees. And if you think about that, that's why if you search t-shirt on Alibaba, the first page, a lot of these vendors are not even manufacturers or trading companies, agents. And the question would be why would Alibaba put a sourcing agent and not a manufacturer on page one? Because this agent pays a lot of money. They pay millions of hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to rank for that keyword. But if you think about sourcing, it's a very high stake decision. I don't want to see the supplier just because they paid a lot of money to rank on the first page. I want to see the best supplier in the world that matches my exact requirements. And this is partially why directories, I think, are outdated because, as I mentioned, the human mind has a very limited capacity of how much information you can process.
Walk me through it. I'm somebody looking for a new manufacturer for t-shirts. So I go to your platform, I create an account. What's the next step? Do you have contact information there? How do I get in touch with the vendor?
So the supplier, we collect phone numbers, emails of the supplier, and we collect this data through various sources as well. So we buy data from trade shows, for example. So if the supplier attended a trade show, they left their contact, we would get their data. And then the next step is we actually have a feature called AI inquiries. So instead of reaching out to these suppliers manually, calling each one or emailing each one, we can create an automated inquiry workflow where we integrate with your email and you put in the questions that you need to ask the suppliers. Let's say you have a specific product that you want to source, like a t-shirt, and I want to make 500 pieces of this. I need to understand what is your price? What is your minimum order quantity? When can you deliver it? Right? I basically have 8 questions I need to ask. You tell our AI beforehand, and then I can bulk invite, let's say, the top 50 vendors or even 100 vendors from the search result. And then the AI basically reaches out to each of these vendors and goes back and forth with each one, asks them the information that you need to ask, and then organizes all the answers in a way that very easily you can kind of structure and compare. Because traditionally, that's also the second problem. So you mentioned, most people don't go past page 3. But I'll tell you, most people don't even contact more than 10 suppliers. Most 3 or 4, maybe 5. Because it's very, very time consuming messaging suppliers. And the more suppliers you add, the more noise you have, right? No one wants to be messaging 100 different suppliers. You can't even remember at that point who is doing what is happening, right? And this is where AI really becomes a game changer because instead of only reaching out to 5, you can reach out to 50. You can reach out to 100 if you wanted to. And in that case, it just increases the probability that you find a better supplier and a better deal. And as I mentioned, because you have AI to summarize and rank all these results, it's not just ranking the search results. It's also ranking the conversations, right? So as the AI is having these conversations with the supplier, the AI is continuously adjusting the score, what we call the match score, of how well the supplier matches against your specific criteria. And I think this is just a different way of thinking about sourcing.